You snap awake. You blink, but it doesn't help. The room is entirely black. The clock on your nightstand reads 2 a.m. Instantly, the anxiety kicks in. You start doing the math on how many hours you have left until your alarm goes off. You reach for your phone, the screen blinding you, convinced that your sleep cycle is broken and your body is malfunctioning. That shot of midnight alertness may actually be your biology executing its oldest survival code. To understand why, we have to look at the environment our bodies were actually built for. This timeline represents the 300,000 years our species has existed. For nearly all of it, sunset meant absolute darkness for up to 14 hours at a time. The brightly lit evenings we experience today only exist in this microscopic sliver at the very end. It is easy to assume that early humans dealt with those endless winter nights by simply sleeping straight through them. They didn't. Curing our modern panic over lost sleep requires understanding how our ancestors spent those hours when the world went black. Before learning to control fire, we were governed by the same rules as every other primate. Without night vision, moving after sunset meant becoming a meal for leopards or hyenas. As soon as the sun dipped below the horizon, you found a sheltered spot and stayed entirely still. A controlled flame rewrote that biological constraint. A typical campfire casts a circle of light and heat roughly 30 feet across. Predators avoid the perimeter, meaning that humans suddenly had a dedicated zone of safety that lasted well into the night. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner spent years living alongside modern hunter-gatherer groups, like the Sandbushmen of the Kalahari, documenting exactly how those extra firelit hours are used. She recorded the contents of thousands of conversations. While the sun was up, people talked about work. They discussed foraging routes, tracking game, and navigating social logistics. Once the sun went down and the group gathered near the flames, the dialogue shifted entirely. Practical matters were dropped. The night was reserved for recounting adventures, passing down origin myths, and sharing jokes. The campfire established a new mental landscape. Within those embers, the immediate struggle for survival gave way to imagination, making the firelight our species' first theater and the birthplace of human culture. Eventually, the fire would burn out, leaving hours of darkness before dawn. How people navigated that span remained obscure until a historian named Roger Ekirch began digging through archival documents from the pre-industrial era. He uncovered a global record of something called first sleep and second sleep. Across centuries of diaries, court records, and medieval medical guides, writers casually referenced dividing their night into 2 separate blocks of rest. This chart shows their daily rhythm. People went to bed shortly after sunset and slept for about 4 hours. Then they woke up, staying active for 1 to 2 hours in the middle of the night, before returning to bed for a final 4-hour block. During that middle-of-the-night gap, often called the watch, they didn't just lie there frustrated. They visited neighbors, interpreted the dreams they just had, conceived children, or simply stayed in bed for deep, quiet reflection. Historians assumed this was merely a cultural habit until 1992, when psychiatrist Thomas Ware tested the biology behind it. He brought volunteers into a clinical environment and completely removed their access to artificial light. For 14 hours every night, they were placed in total darkness. Within weeks, without any instructions, every single participant's body naturally reverted to the exact same ancient rhythm, 2 4-hour blocks of sleep, separated by a period of quiet wakefulness. Blood tests during that waking gap revealed a chemical signature. Participants' brains flooded with prolactin, a hormone linked to deep relaxation. Looking back at our sleep chart, this glowing middle section represents that hormonal surge, a period subjects described as calm and meditative. That midnight pause is a fully distinct, biologically programmed state of human consciousness, and modern society has nearly erased it. The eradication of that state happened quickly. It began with medieval cities installing street lamps to curb crime, and accelerated rapidly when Thomas Edison commercialized the incandescent bulb. We traded the night for productivity, but our biology couldn't adapt to the hardware. When bright light, especially blue light from modern screens and bulbs, hits your retina late in the evening, your brain interprets it as sunlight. It delays the release of melatonin, the primary hormone responsible for regulating your sleep cycle. By artificially extending the day, We forced a sprawling, two-part biological rhythm to compress into a single, fragile 8-hour block. Yet the old programming is still intact. Modern researchers have found that taking people camping for just 1 week, far away from city lights and glowing screens, is enough to completely synchronize their melatonin cycles back to that ancestral rhythm. It turns out, sleeping in one continuous, unbroken 8-hour shift is the historical anomaly. So the next time your eyes snap open at 2 a.m., leave your phone on the nightstand. Ignore the instinct to panic about the hours ticking away. Just lie there, quietly. You are not experiencing a malfunction. You are feeling the weight of 300,000 years of evolutionary programming, gently inviting you back into a peaceful space that the modern world forgot.